Hello, BookShark Bootcamp. It's your community manager, Jana, and today is Wednesday, September 10th. It is our September Live. As I have been prepping you for the last few weeks, we are going from weekly lives to monthly lives here on out. We'll be doing a monthly live each second Wednesday of the month. And then we will do our monthly Q&A the following Wednesday. So we have been doing weekly Q&A, weekly lives. We're going to be moving to monthly. You guys are going to be in the thick of doing homeschool, so you're not going to want to come on every week and hear me chit chat about things that maybe you already know and hopefully are already implementing. So, as we transition into monthly lives, I'm going to bring guests on and we're going to talk about all things homeschool. Sometimes it'll be very Bookshark specific, and sometimes it's just going to be great information to help support you and your family on your homeschool journey. So today, I am excited to introduce Sarah Hercules. She is from Herculean Homeschooling. She is going to just be talking about something that's really heavy on your hearts and minds. We put out a survey asking you guys how you felt, what was keeping you up at night when you were thinking about homeschooling as you're getting into this new journey. And the number one thing was, how do you fit it all in? I'm going to start off by saying you can't and you won't. But Sarah and I are going to bring you some great tips on how to prioritize what you can and help you have fun with your kids as you start this homeschool journey. So, without further ado, Sarah, welcome to this day's live.
Thank you so much, Jana. Hey, everybody. I'm so excited to be here. I am a homeschool mom just like you guys. This is our 11th year homeschooling, and I do have six kids. My youngest is 9. The oldest is almost 18. I can't believe how quickly they grow up. And my husband works remotely. So as we're doing this live, just know life's going to be happening around it. So if you see a kid or two pop in or you hear my husband, just know that, we're all doing our best here. And so excited to be with y'all, specifically because I love, love, love working with new homeschoolers and new Bookshark users. That just has like a special place in my heart. So thank you so much, Jana, for allowing me to come and be here with y'all. So I am so excited about this topic. And a big part of the reason why is because I'm right here in the thick of it with you. We are all in the trenches together, all like, why are we only given 24 hours in a day? Because it's just not enough time to do all the things. And I love, Jana, that you already prefaced it with, that's exactly right. There's not enough time to do all the things. But we are here to share. We have 10 different tips and tricks that we are using in our homes and seeing good results with. And so we thought it'd be great to come together and share with you guys. Hopefully, you'll be able to pick one or two things up that will be a real gift to you and your family.
I
So
think,
the
Sarah, to interrupt you for just a second, I think that's a really good preface to this live is to know that we're going to be talking about things and hopefully we'll get through all 10 in this live, but it's not put all 10 things and implement them today, right now, quick. It's like, here's a list of things that we have found over the years through the process that have worked. And so maybe just making sure that parents understand, like, hey, find one or two that really resonate with you in this moment and focus on that one, because I know, as just my personality, I want to write the 10 things down and I want to get in there and implement all 10 things right away, and that is not what we're saying.
Definitely not. Yes. Thank you for reiterating that. Because yeah, just pick, like Jenna said, one or two things that stand out and start with that. And there's so much of homeschooling. If you haven't figured it out yet, it's trial and error. And one thing's going to work and one thing's not. And this might work for this season. And then the seasons change and the kids grow and we have to adjust. So we learn to become very, very flexible as homeschoolers. And yeah, just pick one or two things at a time. So the first one that I'd love to talk about is the weekly schedule. And this is just an overview of what your family's week looks like. Now, Jana and the Bookshark team are so fantastic. They actually put together this weekly schedule. I like it being broken down every half an hour or so. So I don't know if it's easy to see, hard to see, but Jana's going to put this on the files, correct, Jana, in
Yep.
the group. So you guys can download this and print it off. And I just like to have a visual of what my family's doing for the week. First thing I'm going to use is my highlighters. So With six kids, I do not use a color for every kid or anything, but I do have different colors that mean different things. So you're first going to use this with your non-negotiables, right? So if you work, I work part-time, my husband's working full-time. I know Jana works, and so we have such an eclectic group of homeschoolers. If people work outside of the home, inside of the home, if you work and you have certain hours, put those in. Use a highlighter, say blue is for work. No, let's do green because it's money making. So green is for work. You're going to highlight the hours that you have to work. You can't do anything else. That's non-negotiable. And then you'll go in and do like your child's activities. So I know my son has violin lessons Thursdays at 2. That's not changing. So I'm going to go highlight our family activities. I believe I have those in pink. So if it's a family activity or a kid activity is yellow. So because violin, it's getting marked yellow. And then dance lessons Monday and Tuesday nights. So I put those in yellow. So whatever your family activities that's not changing, put that in the calendar. And then you can add your homeschool times. So I seriously would love for you to consider having dedicated homeschool times that you don't mess with. And it can change, right? Because again, it's all about flexibility. But if I'm dedicating these 3 hours Monday and Tuesday morning, and then 3 hours Wednesday, Thursday, Friday in the afternoon, and I just have that dedicated time to where I'm not scheduling doctor's appointments during that time because that's my homeschool time. If a friend calls and is like, hey, you want to go get your hair done? Like, sorry, I'd love to, but that's my homeschool time. And so just dedicating that time, because if a lot of times as homeschoolers, we want to do all the things, right? And it's like, oh yeah, I can go to the park, or oh yeah, I can watch your kids. And we forget that just because we're homeschooling doesn't mean that our time is unlimited and a free for all. And then we get overwhelmed, like, wait, how am I supposed to actually get my math done? I had to do all these other things. So definitely having dedicated homeschooling times. In my family with my six kids, I have 3 hours every day dedicated of my time with them for all six. And if the older ones will be able to have time outside of that to keep working on their stuff, but they don't need me for that, right? So I make sure that we use those 3 hours well, because that's all they're getting. Let's try again. And so this is an example of my week so that you guys could kind of see what it looks like. I'm not writing everything down like kid by kid and everything. It's just a visual overview of what my week looks like and how much time I'm really going to dedicate to all the different things. Then I have my little code up here so that y'all can see what the different colors are representing. And it really is eye-opening to see how much time I'm wasting or what I really didn't need to be putting that kind of time into and being like, okay, I really can work part-time and homeschool and do all the activities and still have time for fun. So that is the weekly schedule. You can download that in the files.
So I just want to jump in and remind for those of you who are new or maybe you skipped a session, we do have a yearly calendar. We created 9 months well, actually we did 12 months, so you can use it however you're going to homeschool, so that you could go in and get an overview of your year. And then we're breaking it, and that's broken down by months. And Sarah is saying go a step further. And maybe your schedule doesn't change every week. You don't necessarily have to reprint it and reevaluate it. But if you have those blocks of time set out, you have a really good idea of what your week is going to look like. I think it's imperative if you do work outside of the home, but I think it's as important if you just are in the home, you lose track of time. How many of us have just lost track of time? You go to start a load of laundry, and the next thing you know, you're like organizing your jewelry, and I mean, 3 hours are gone. So maybe not three, but definitely time is gone. So I think it's important to have, you want to think of it, homeschooling is like this beautiful journey, and we want to be able to have freedom and flexibility, but it isn't a free for all, because for those who have reservation about how this is all going to work, I think we have this illusion that it's just a free for all and everything's going to get done when it gets done. And if that's how you want to homeschool, then you absolutely can do it that way. For those of us who have done it for years and have added in work and these other activities, we have found that having a very not like so rigid schedule that you can't change anything, but at least having blocks of time out so you know that, like Sarah said, the essentials get done, and then you have this other time to be able to do the things that you really enjoy, and you'll find that you'll have time to do it because your time is going where you tell it to go. It's kind of like money, Sarah. We I know that you guys budget, we budget, and one of the first principles of budgeting is telling your money where it's going to go. And I believe the same principle is applicable to homeschooling with time. You tell your time how you're going to spend it instead of just spending your time and wondering where your time went.
Exactly, which actually goes perfectly to our third point. So, the first one, have your weekly schedule, just have a visual. A lot of times when it's in our head, it's so overwhelming, right? If somebody calls, "Hey, when do you want to get together?" And it's like, I've got this, and this. I have no time to get together." But if we have a more specific, would Friday or Saturday work, then that's easier for our brain to wrap around. So, if we're just stuck in our heads of there's so much going on and not enough time, but when we can actually put it down and see it on paper of, okay, it is possible to get this done. So that was number one. Number two was to be protective of the time that you do assign yourself. So be protective of those times. And then number three is to be purposeful, which I feel like you are kind of alluding to here, Jana, of telling our money where to go, telling our time how it's going to be used, and to be purposeful with that time. I don't know how many times I'm like, sitting there like I feel like I should be doing something right now, but I don't even know what I should be doing. No, if I'm the only one that does that. But to be able to have purpose and have decided ahead of time what we're using that time for so that we're not wasting time figuring out what we should be doing with our time. And I feel like I said the word time 8 times in like 30 seconds. So it's definitely our theme for today.
It is, and it seems like such common sense. Like, of course, I should know what to do with my time, but we all are victims of just wasting time. And I'm not saying that if you sit down and not do anything that you're wasting your time. I just mean when we have that realization of where did the time go when you wanted to do something but you weren't purposeful with it. It's fine if you want to schedule in time where there is no purpose. I believe in that. I am for that. We just want to make sure that you are aware of when those times get spent so that you don't get to the end of your day and go, what did I do today? Because nobody wants to go to bed at night going, I didn't accomplish anything that I wanted to accomplish today.
Exactly. Yes. And I love that you brought up scheduling you time, scheduling fun time. Those are protected times that need to be in your weekly calendar. So I wake up at 7 and my kids are fortunately old enough, they get themselves their own breakfast and get started on their things. They don't need me for that, like different when you have littles. And that is my time to, be in my Bible, to be doing journaling, to be starting my day with yoga and meditation. Like that's protected time. And the kids will knock on the door at 8 o'clock. And I'm like, it is not your time yet. This is my time. And that's so important that a lot of times we forget as moms because we take care of everybody else all the time. And so to be able to schedule not just you time, but fun family time. If you're going to be having a field trip or going to the movies or doing a movie night at home, however you want to do it, or go play pickleball. That's something my family's recently been getting into. And it's just so much fun to have that scheduled time to be sure that we're making time for fun. So important. So that was step four or key tip number four. We'll go with tip. There you go. Tip number five I'd like to share is about finding good routines. Because I'm showing you this schedule, right? Over and over, the schedule. So much though is about routine to where if we haven't started our family history at 9 in the morning, I'm not stressed about it, right? We just know that we start with history and that's the routine that we form. So a lot of times having the routine in place is super helpful in order to stick to that schedule. And as we're talking about finding these routines, it's going to lead into tip number six is that it's going to be trial and error, which we've mentioned previously as well. And you're going to have to figure out with your family. And this has taken my family years. As Jenna said, it's taken us years to figure out what kind of routine works for us. So for my family, we do all together. We do our history and our science all together. And then we break apart for the language arts and math. And I work with my younger ones first, give them that mom one-on-one time. And then they're much more willing to go play and do something else so that I can work with my older ones. And that's also given my older ones time to work on their stuff on their own while I'm helping the littles. And then I can come back and review and check with them. So that's the routine that's worked in our family. For your family, it might look different, and that's great. If that is a good routine for your family, then try it out and see how it works. And then you can try something else and see what you guys like better. So definitely be willing to try different routines and just see what is meshing the best with your family.
And I love this idea of routine versus a rigid schedule because I think about, and you guys, I'm going to keep bringing this back to like just regular life so that this can really connect with you. When I get ready to go to bed, my husband and I, we don't have like necessarily a set time, right? We have like an around time, and sometimes it's earlier because we're tired, and the older you get, you feel it earlier in the evening. But then we like go upstairs and we know we're gonna floss our teeth and brush our teeth and wash our face and get in bed. And I'll usually read for a little while. But it's not like from 8:45 to 9 o'clock, I'm flossing and brushing my teeth. And then from 9 o'clock until 9:05, I'm washing my face. Like sometimes I think as homeschool families, we feel like there's comfort in these very rigid schedules. Sarah and I are trying to communicate as effectively as we can. A routine is just a rhythm. It's not time slots, it's not minutes spent on certain things. It is just a rhythm. So I know no matter what time I start to go to bed, these are the things that I do in the order that I do them. And it helps, because it's a rhythm, it gets us ready to go. And then our bodies know, okay, we're getting ready to get ready for bed. It doesn't matter if it's a super early night or a super late night, it's still the same rhythm. And I think that's very applicable to homeschool. It's the same rhythm, whether you started late or started early. Your kids know this is what follows next, this is what follows next, and you can get it done. And it doesn't have to be like, well, now we're off schedule. There's nothing worse than feeling like you're behind from before you even start. I'm just telling you, like that is no way to homeschool.
No, thank you. I have enough stress in my life. I don't need that kind of rigidity stressing me out even more. So, and as we're talking, it almost feels a little contradictory, right? Of how do we have this schedule with fixed times, but don't worry so much about the schedule and just stick with your routine, And I think that there's a way to marry both of them to where we do have our schedule because I know I have to work at noon, and so if we don't start at 9, then that I can't not start work at noon. So I do need to have place for protected times for things, but I also need to have place for life happening, right? You just never know what's going to pop up and what kid woke up throwing up and what tire is flat, like there's just so many life plot twists, right? Or character developing opportunities is what we like to call them in our family, because we are developing that character every day. So we need to have place for both of those, of having our schedule, being purposeful with our time, but also allowing time for problems to happen and to have our routines in place so that when our times do get shifted, well, we know what's next. So that leads me to my next tip. What are we on? Six, seven?
Six, we're on six.
Yes. Okay, excellent. So this is my 5-3 woohoo tip. So it's like I always pick the top 5 priorities for that day. And I have a little post-it. Those are super cheap and they're colorful, so they're fun. And I just write down the 5 most important things. A lot of times I'll do it the night before. So I'm trying to go to bed and your mind is racing about what all things I have to get done tomorrow. So just write them down because then it's out of your head and you can sleep better. You're welcome. So you have your post-its, and then I write the 5 most important things for me to do the next day. So it might be I need to call and cancel that doctor's appointment. It might be I really need to work with my son on his nines multiplication. He's just struggling with that. And then adding, whatever the top 5 most important things are, have those written down. And then 3 things that would be so great if they got done. Maybe it's folding the basket of laundry that's been sitting there for 2 weeks. That would be so great if those would be folded. But it's part of the three needs to get done, but not a priority items. And then everything else, it's just the hooray if it gets done. So that's why I call it my 5-3 hooray. And so that way, when I wake up, I know the five top things I need to get done, and I'm not going to worry about the other things. And if I get all five of those things done, then I'm ready to move on to the other three would be great items. And if I get all eight things done, hooray! Now I get to go read my book that I've been like wanting to read it for weeks or whatever other thing that might be on your list of to-dos that just doesn't always make it to the top.
Yeah, I agree that it is so good to get it out of the mind. Same thing with the schedule, right? To visualize it, see it, get those things out of your mind, stop worrying about them, write them down, and then be able to work through them so that you can prioritize once you start your next day of what's going to happen. And it really gives you a great feeling of where you're going to go. I love the roadmap. I like my maps. I like to know where I'm going and where I'm going to end up. But it can also be put to the next day if it doesn't get done. Like we have to have some, fluid movement when we are juggling family life, homeschool, because those are two different things. Because as a parent, you're juggling family life regardless if you homeschool or not. Then you're homeschooling, and then if you do add outside work, outside activities, it's just a way to keep we keep sane. I mean, we teeter, Sarah, we teeter, but we're there most days.
Right. So true. And I love when, even if I've only checked off one of my five priorities for the day, because let's be honest, there are days where that's all that gets done is one thing. But you could at least go to bed being like, I at least did that one thing. And that was on one of my top priorities to do, and it's done. Good job, Sarah. And even say that out loud to yourself. Like tell yourself, good job. You did that one thing because we do not get enough credit and gratitude for all the things that we do. So say thank you to yourself. That's a bonus tip in there for from me to you.
That's an extra hooray.
Yes. Another thing that is tip number 7 that's super helpful is to delegate what we can. And I don't know about you, Jenna, or anybody else watching. There's like I'm the mom. I should do that. And yes, I want to go do that and I want to help you with that. But there's stuff that we do that we don't need to be doing. They can do it themselves or allow other person the opportunity to serve or to help in some way. So at this point, like all of my kids are doing their own laundry, which is super great. They have each, since I have 6 kids, we each have a day of the week that they are in charge of lunch. So I'm like, okay, they make their own breakfast. They each have a day that they are in charge of lunch for the family, and then I'm in charge of dinners. And so it was just getting too much for me to have to do all the things and think of another meal. Like, how often do we have to eat, guys? Come on. And so to be able to delegate that and to give our kids some responsibility, because if they don't make lunch, the family's not eating, and guess who's not happy if they're not eating? So being able to delegate things that are not as I don't want, is it right to say it's not as important or that you don't feel like if you would have a hard time with somebody doing their laundry because they don't fold it right, then one, you're either going to have to build a bridge and get over that, or two, you're going to have to make time for that, So those are our options. So the things that you're okay with somebody else doing it not the way you would do it, delegate it and let somebody else take that responsibility.
And know that they aren't going to do it how you would do it. Like, I mean, if you're going to delegate, you're going to have to understand it's not going to get done the way you would do it. My bathrooms do not get cleaned the way I would clean my bathrooms. But you know what? I've had to just over the years, okay, fine, let it go. And the other thing I will say, especially when you're sharing responsibility with another parent or a family member or a friend, you might, if you're anything like me, you might have some FOMO. You want to do it all. You want to be a part of everything. And there is part of just getting it all done, fitting it all in, is understanding that you can't do it all. And so there will be times when my husband will have to take my daughter and go do something. And I'm like, I sit with that disappointment, and then I recognize there's things that I have done their whole lives that he did not get to do because he was either at work or other reasons. And so I have to allow him to also have this time with them. That was hard for me. I can't be the only parent that feels that way, I'm sure. But recognizing that as we're saying these things, they're not hard things to do, but they're not necessarily easy to let go. So just sit with that uncomfortableness with yourself because that's the only person uncomfortable, not anybody else. It's just you.
Yes, I've had to get really comfortable with being uncomfortable, and it's not fun, but that's where growth happens, right? When we're outside of our comfort zone, it's when we can grow. And by delegating, we're letting ourselves grow and we're allowing others the opportunity to grow as well. So I'm seeing it as a pro all around to delegate things, which leads to our next point here. Number 8 is meal planning. And maybe that's just because I have an army, right? Or a family of 8, and I was talking about food earlier. But what's been such a time saver is meal planning. So I'm not trying to figure out what are we making for dinner tonight, and do I even have all the groceries for that? Like that's so many mental gymnastics happening, and that's exhausting. So to be able to meal plan, I like to do it once a week. I typically do it on Saturday and I look at my schedule for the week and see what we have going on. So I might need to plan a crock pot meal for this time because we're going to be gone all day and then need dinner when we come home. And this one we can grill because it looks like it's going to be nice outside. So kind of looking at my schedule of what's happening to be able to make plans. I know people have mixed feelings about AI. But AI meal plans, you guys, like you can go on there and tell it, create a 7-day meal plan that's dairy free and, protein rich or whatever your specifications are, and hit meal plans for you. And it'll even create a grocery list for you. And then you can have Walmart delivery or go pick it up. Like we live in an amazing day and age where we have so many time-saving hacks that help us be able to meal plan and get our groceries and have everything that we need in such a shorter amount of time than having to grow your own wheat to make bread, Like, thank goodness I do not live in those
Sarah,
days.
ain't nobody got time for that. Plus, half of us are gluten free, so that will not work anyways. But yeah, I have meal planned for years now, and part of that has been because I work part time. My husband was working out of the home full time, and it has saved us, gosh, I would say not only time and exhaustion and just like a negative it's removed like any negative feelings around the food for me because as a mom like you get that feeling you guys don't have to eat again. I got to think about what to feed you for another time today. And I mean it's just like one more meal. Are you kidding me? I mean I like you. I mean I've been married for 21 years now, so it's a lot of meals that I have prepared. And while I love to cook, I it brings back for me so much joy if I do like you said. I will 1 day a week. I plan it. I buy my groceries. I write it down, and then the family now got them trained to not even ask me. They just know to go look on the refrigerator because if I have to tell somebody one more time what is for dinner tonight, I'm gonna lose it. And then start to flip flop that into the delegating. Now we have meals that they know how to prepare themselves so that we can share the responsibility of dinners and it's not all on me anymore. And I will say it has brought so much joy back to just dinner time for me as the mom because there are days I work later into the evening and now it's just the three of us at home. My husband and my younger daughter will start dinner because they know what the night is and they know where the ingredients are and how to find the recipe. And I come down and dinner is done. It's amazing.
So freeing. We have a chalkboard in my house with dinners because, yeah, it's like we're in the same house. I just cannot answer what's for dinner one more time. So, yes, come up with some kind of system or routine to where you have your time set aside of this is when I'm meal planning, and then here's the plan so that everybody in the family is on board and knows the plan. And then that saves you time and mental energy as well. So, being creative in those different ways of how we use our time is tip number 9. A lot of times we do get really rigid with what we're doing and feel like it needs to be a certain way. Those of us, I don't know, like Jana and I were both raised, well, in public school. Jana, am I lying? You did public school, didn't you?
A
But you
little
homeschooled.
bit. Homeschooled, public, private. I did it all.
All the things. So I came from a public school background and was a public school teacher even for time. And we did a podcast that you shared, right, Jenna, about not recreating public school at home. And I am strong-hearted about that topic because as we were raised of like we do English from 9 to 9:50 and then you have your 5 minute break and then you do your next class for this amount of time. And we don't have to do that in our houses. We get to be creative with how we do things. So we go to a co-op on Wednesdays and it takes us just shy of an hour to get out there. So I'm going to use that time creatively and we're listening to Story of the World as part of our history. So we're not doing Story of the World every day in that 3 hour protected time. We're doing it in the 1 hour that we're going to co-op. Another thing that we do in our family is when my husband gets home from work, he has the discussion questions that he can ask the kids from their reading assignments for that day of, hey, tell me about the book and here's the question. And it has the answers in the teacher or instructor guide for you or for your partner or whoever is going to be working with them. And that way, dad can feel included with the homeschool routines and things as well. And it's not just put on mom all the time. So that's another great way that we can include both parents and that we can be using our time wisely. So maybe as I'm dinner prepping, he's asking them their questions from their reading that they did. We will also use bedtime as a great time to do our family read alouds together. So maybe I'm not going to have time in the morning, or we got started late or something, or it's just a really long chapter that day as that happens, and we just didn't have time to finish that chapter. We'll use bedtime and do a read aloud before going to bed. So just because it's school doesn't mean you have to do it in school hours, right? We can be doing it on the weekend, we can be doing it before bedtime, we can be creative and when and how we are getting our schooling done.
Yeah, our girls typically, because they were engaged with most of the independent readers, they actually did that at night before they went to bed. They did their independent reading and that was their reading. And then if there was times where they were really into another book and they could read afterwards. And then because I wasn't really strict with bedtimes when we homeschooled or when they got up, they would like stay up late and then keep reading for fun and then even sometimes wake up and want to keep reading for fun. And I was so happy they were reading because I knew that we were going to get our schoolwork done. I tried not to be too stressed about things. I like to stay within the 7 days of the week we were on, but I was fluid throughout those 7 days as opposed to strictly 4 days. And it worked really well. And all of my girls are still readers. We all love to read for fun still. And I have college age girls.
Oh, I love that. That makes me so happy. Yeah, we're doing with my 15-year-old daughter. She's doing level J, and we just started. It's the beginning of the school year, right? And she's already finished the first book. And she's like, it was way better than I thought, and I just didn't want to stop. And I'm like, okay, that's you're using your time on that. That's great. So I love when they get excited about the reading, and it helps us keep our time creative, and then. Um, Protected and using that time so wisely that we do have with them. So our last, because I know we're almost out of time here, Jenna, but I wanted to get to number 10. And that is, it kind of goes along in the vein of delegating and meal planning. And that's if somebody else can plan the schedule for you when it comes to homeschooling and you're okay with that, let them. AKA BookShark's instructor guides have been a lifesaver for me because that is so much time to have to plan out a year of homeschooling, especially I mean, for one kid, let alone six kids. And so to have that already planned out to where you can just open and go only 4 days a week and that they're not dated. That's one of my favorite parts about the instructor's guide is it's just day one, two, three, four. So we have days and weeks that we don't get to all four of those days. And I don't have to stress about it because when it comes to Monday the next week, we just do day four and we can move on. And I want to also talk about with the schedule that doesn't mean we're a slave to the schedule, right? Of just because it says it on there does not mean I have to do it. Like nobody from BookShark or the homeschool world is coming and knocking on your door and saying, ma'am, did you read chapters 2 and 3 of that book? Because it said it in the schedule. Like Nobody's going to do that. You get to be the boss, which is so awesome. So it's a great outline to have there for you to help take away that mental stress and gymnastics of trying to plan it all, but it doesn't mean you have to do it all. So figure out what's going to work for your family and what your child specifically needs. And some weeks it might be all the things, and some weeks it might be the read aloud and the activity sheet and done. So use that as a guide and let somebody else help with that schedule of your homeschooling work.
And the other thing I would add on to that is if you are feeling overwhelmed and it's a lot, and it is a lot. Everything is a lot when you don't know what you're doing. It when you first start something. I mean, I just think that anytime I want to tackle something new, if it's baking gluten-free bread or starting a new knitting project, I don't know because I haven't done it before. So take your time and ease into it. It doesn't have to be all done. Like you don't have to be 100% at day one. Like you can start slow. You can start with just looking through the guide and giving highlights in your history. If it feels like you're not hitting, if you're not getting through all of it, just go through and skim it and give the main points and then read your read aloud and engage your child in the literature rich portion that really is how we truly learn as kids and as humans is just through the story. So it's okay to skim. It's okay to just give the highlight points, the 3 minute summary as opposed to reading all of it. All of these things are great and you're gonna come back to it. It's gonna get repeated. You're not cheating your child in any way, shape, or form. You're engaging them in a different type of educational choice, and it's supposed to be fun for them and for you. So for those who are just started, you're already seeing tears, you're overwhelmed, you don't even think you're questioning all of your life choices. I just want you to take a moment to breathe. You're doing a great job. It's gonna work. Trust the process and think about what you can scale back, and you're gonna get through it. But don't forget to have fun because that is the whole point of doing it something the different way is so that you can customize it to your child, your family, and so that education is fun. We don't want to kill curiosity and learning. We want to encourage it here at BookShark.
Yes, thank you, Jenna. I love all the things that you have to say. As people are watching, please be making comments down below. Jen and I are both going to be on here. Yeah, well, I mean, you see us on here. We're like typing and responding to your questions. I know Jenna introduced, I'm Herculean Homeschooling, so feel free to follow me Instagram and Facebook. And I love hearing from homeschool families, especially if you're using BookShark, which you should be since you're on this BookShark bootcamp. And I just would love to hear what kind of levels you guys are doing, what's working. Also, these were just 10 tips that we came up with. Like, I'd love to hear what tips are working in your family because I'm always looking for ways to improve my time management and to make sure that we can get all the things done in the time that we've been given. So, thank you so much, Jana, for having me on today. And I just hope everybody has a fantastic homeschool year. You're doing better than you know. Keep up the great work, and thanks for being here.
Yes, you guys, thank you so much. Sarah, thanks for taking your time today to be on with us. You guys, I'm going to put in the post the link to Sarah's podcast that she did with us about not recreating public school at home. It's still one of the top listened to episodes of our podcast. I do want to encourage you guys to let us know what is working for you. What hacks have you found that we didn't mention? We'd love to hear that. And if you have questions specifically to this live or BookShark or homeschooling in general, make sure you go to the September Q&A post those in there, and then we will get those answered next week. I hope you guys have a great Wednesday, and we'll see you on our next live for Q&A, which is next week on Wednesday. Bye.